Hi guys! Welcome to my review of Pretty Little Liars episode 613, The Gloves Are On. I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. The end of this episode was so good, but obviously it would make sense for me to start at the end of the episode, so instead, as you would expect, I'm going to start at the beginning. So I have to say, the first scene, much as though I really enjoy any scenes where the girls are just kind of on their own talking, that feels very much like old times. So I liked the fact that Spencer and Emily and Hannah were having this kind of like spa day together when they're lying there trying to go through this like therapeutic like relaxation session, and really all that they can do is think about the fact that Arya has been lying to them, that Charlotte's dead, that they're under investigation for murder again. And it's like Hannah said at one point, like, this is so not relaxing, and it really is like the least relaxing spa day that you could imagine. But what I particularly enjoyed about this scene was when they got up to leave after Hannah admitted that she'd erased the footage, which, as we all know, was the stupidest thing that she could have done. It was the fact that after Hannah and Spencer left, Emily suddenly happened to notice that Sarah Harvey was in the room next to them with the door open just enough that she might have been able to hear what they were talking about. How long had she been in there for? Like, my automatic instinct, I have to say, for a couple of scenes in this episode until one later on, which I'll get to, I was wondering if Emily was imagining her, and I know that that sounds pretty ridiculous, but I genuinely was thinking like maybe Emily's like so traumatised by everything that she's been through, and having seen Sarah Harvey at the funeral, I nearly said the wedding, oh dear, having seen Sarah at the funeral and having been talking about her, she's just starting to kind of hallucinate her, or maybe it's part of the drugs that she's on for the medical thing that we'll get to later in this review. So I kind of wondered if she was just imagining that she was there, because I really was like, how the hell did you not notice that she was there, creeping about, lurking around the way she always seems to do. So that I just found quite entertaining. The other thing that I'm going to quickly mention, just because I tweeted about it and quite a few people seemed to agree with me, was the clarity of the Skype in this episode. I don't know about you guys, but I would really like a Rosewood Wi-Fi connection if that has any impact on the clarity of their Skype, because it looked like a film. But really, we shouldn't talk about things being unrealistic in Rosewood, should we? As with most episodes of Pretty Little Liars, you've got kind of a few key storylines or events flowing through it that it's switching between. So for one of the main parts of the episode, we were dealing with Arya desperately trying to convince Ezra to finish his book. In episode 612, he had given her his USB drive, which had all the research for his book on it, and when she'd gone on, she just found all these horrific images of people who'd been murdered and kidnapped, and it really kind of disturbed her and made her start to worry even more about his current state of mind. What I'm loving, and a lot of people are picking up on this, and also again I've got to mention it because it's just insanely funny, the BuzzFeed however many thoughts we had during this episode, is the representation of Ezra as like deeply troubled and going through a difficult time with the stubble and the constant drinking. The kind of really awkward moment when he and Arya were meeting up for lunch in Radley, which still sounds hilarious to say, and Ashley told him that he couldn't have a beer because there was an incident where he broke a chair. I did question why he'd be allowed back in at all if it was an incident. So what I'm thinking by the end of this episode is the situation is that Arya has read the first couple of chapters of his book. She thinks that they're excellent, but Ezra's just not on board with writing anymore. So she's taken it upon herself to write the rest of the book for him, or at least write a book for him, which seems like a terrible plan. As time goes on, the girls are finding it more and more impossible to rule out the fact that Ezra may have actually killed Charlotte. They think that he has done it to protect Arya. They think that he has been through so much and been so traumatised that he's reached the point where he's capable of this. And I actually found the scene when they went in to confront him and Arya's gone in first and sort of been like, can you please just be honest with me, just admit to me what you've done and I'll protect you, I'll lie for you, I'll say whatever you want me to. Poor Liam. I like Liam, he's very cute and I feel for him because he has no idea what he's got himself into. But she's telling Ezra that she'll do anything for him and that she knows that he did it to protect her and all of this stuff, and you can see in his face he's like, I'm sorry, hold on, what? And then the other girls all kind of burst in, and much as though I enjoyed the scene because it was very dramatic, I did actually really feel sorry for Ezra because, much as though he's, being a little bit off at the moment, and he's obviously very troubled and he's drinking too much and all of that stuff, how much would it hurt if people who'd known you for that amount of time genuinely thought that you were capable of breaking someone's neck and shoving them off the roof of a bell tower. I think all of these clues, as I said last week, all of these clues that have been sort of like thrown at us, it's like, oh, Ezra was in the right place at the right time. He's now troubled and an alcoholic, possibly. He's, you know, wanted to get revenge on Charlotte. All of these things that have been like thrown at us just make you go, well, obviously it's not him. So I feel pretty certain that Ezra didn't kill Charlotte. Maybe I'm going to get a surprise and find out that that's wrong, but I'm feeling fairly certain that he didn't. So when he snapped and sort of was like, who do you think I am, like, get out, and screamed at them, and they're all like, oh, how could you speak to us like this? I was like, you've just accused the guy of murder, and one of you was his girlfriend, supposed love of his life for a big period of time. The other three were his students who then became his friends because of the situation with Arya. And you genuinely have just accused him of killing someone. Not even just being like, we hate that we're asking this because we don't believe that you could do this, but there's so many suspicious things, Ezra, that, you know, we just can't put our finger on. Can you just please be honest with us and tell us where you were? It's genuinely just like they've just decided that it was him, and it's like, you've got to tell the truth, Ezra. And he's like, what? So I like that, and I think that that's going to provide a lot of tension in the next episode or the next couple of episodes, because how do you come back from that? Like, when you find out it definitely wasn't him, like, it's not really the kind of thing that you can be like, oops, sorry, kind of thought you were a murderer, but we found out you're not, so let's just be friends again. Another obviously very important thread running through this episode was the Spencer and Caleb and Hannah situation. I really like this storyline, and I feel like I'm alone in that. Well, I know I'm not, because a few people have commented on my videos and have tweeted and stuff to say that they're actually really enjoying this, but I feel like the vast majority of people hate this storyline, and are like, the thing that's bothering me about it is I've seen quite a lot of tweets, which I like because they're standing up for Spencer, because there's been a lot of horrible tweets about Spencer being like, oh, she's the worst, like, how dare she's awful. And then I've seen a few other tweets being like, don't blame Spencer all for this, like, it takes two to tango, like, this is not all her fault. And I'm like, wait up just a minute. Hannah is getting married to someone else. Now, I'm a big Caleb fan. We all know this. I have discussed this at great length in many other videos. I loved Hannah and Caleb, and I genuinely thought that they were going to be endgame. I actually do still think that they are going to be endgame, so that is one of the reasons that this storyline, much as though I'm enjoying it from the point of view that I actually think it works pretty well, and that the chemistry between the characters and the situation with the characters makes a great deal of sense, to me anyway. It's annoying me because I genuinely don't think, given the attachment that the fan base has to Caleb, that they're going to have anything else be endgame but Hannah and Caleb. So I sort of feel like this is a waste of time, and I hate that because I'm enjoying it and I don't want it to be a waste of time, but I think that, as I say, given how strongly attached the fans are to Hannah and Caleb as a couple, I really feel like that's the only way that this show is going to end. So I just think that it's how they're going to get out of this, because they've gone there now, and see if they are, I've said this a couple of videos ago, if they're brave enough to do this right, I'm going to be really impressed with them, because this is a big thing to do, it's a big risk to take, and thankfully I think because the writers for 5 seasons had sort of built up this friendship between Spencer and Caleb, they obviously feel quite confident that the characters make sense together. So I'm going to be very impressed with them if they do decide to actually follow through with this, because you're going against what most of your fans seem to want. But if you believe in it and you believe that that's where the characters will end up, I think that's great. But I just feel like if they cave, which I think they probably will, it's just going to end up with Spencer getting hurt, and I don't want that because I love Spencer. Having said that, one of my favourite lines in the entire episode was from Melissa, and I shouldn't like this line because Spencer's like my favourite, but when Melissa had sort of watched Caleb and Spencer interact, I really liked that little scene actually. Melissa was rushing her off to get students to register to vote situation. That little moment between them I thought was very sweet, when he was going to go make her some lunch and whatever, and Melissa was sort of watching on. I liked having Melissa back. I think that she's an important character to have lurking about because you're always suspicious of her. But I really enjoyed her line where she was like, oh, when did that happen? And Spencer's like, what? Me and Caleb? No, we're just friends. And Melissa said, well, I know how you like to shop out of other people's cars. And it was just like, oh, you did not just say that. But also, unfortunately, it's very true. And I just felt that the way it was phrased was perfect. And Melissa was the perfect person to have say something like that, because no one else would actually put something like that. And And I don't like it because obviously, as I say, I love Spencer, but unfortunately she does have a history of ending up kissing people's ex-boyfriends, or in her sister's case, current boyfriends. But my favourite thing, I think my favourite thing of this whole episode was the scene with Hannah and Spencer where they talked about Caleb, because I felt that that was such an important scene to have. My worry throughout this whole thing, as you all know, has been that this storyline is going to cause a fallout between Hannah and Spencer, which I just couldn't bear. And I really, really loved that scene where it was one of these brilliant scenes where both of the actresses did the things that I really love that they're able to do, which is show that sort of like real vulnerability, which I think Troy does so nicely, because Spencer a lot of the time is just get up and go and in control of the situation, whatever, and then when storylines come up where they allow her to have that really vulnerable sort of side to her, I just think she does it so well. And so I really enjoyed that moment where she was sort of asking Hannah, what's, you know, do you feel weird seeing Caleb now? And that's what's annoying me about all these people being like, oh, how could they do this to Hannah? And it's like, Hannah is clearly very happy, and Ashley Benson is doing a very good job of looking ecstatically happy. So when her phone rang and it was the let's get physical like ringtone, which was hilarious, and she just looked, she genuinely was like just radiating like genuine happiness. And so many people have said that up to this point. Like Caleb said to her, you seem really happy, I'm glad that you're so happy. Spencer then sort of said to her, like, you just look so happy, and she's saying that she is. And so I feel like Spencer then at that point thought, this is probably the best time that I'm going to have to bring this up. And that look on Hannah's face when she realised what Spencer was asking her was exactly what it needed to be, because she did look horrified, but she's just done saying, I'm ecstatically happy to be getting married to someone else. People keep asking me about Caleb. Why would they keep asking me about him when I'm clearly so happy with someone else? So much as though obviously it's going to be incredibly weird for her, I love that their friendship's strong enough and that Spencer's important enough to Hannah that she can kind of put aside the weirdness to be like, I think that you should go and find out if he feels the same way that you do. And oh, I thought that was very sweet. I'm not convinced for a minute that she actually is okay with this, and I think from the trailer for the next episode I think we're going to find out that that's probably not true. But yeah, I like that scene. I thought it was very well acted by the girls, and I'm so glad that the directors put it in there, because it needed, that conversation needed to happen before anything happened with Spencer and Caleb. Speaking of which, I loved at the end of the episode, after the kind of weird situation with Ezra, when Spencer got home and Caleb was waiting up for her, they had that sort of conversation, which I think really highlights the bond that they've developed over these 3 years that we've not seen them. I feel like they had personal conversations and talked about themselves and their feelings and stuff with each other before, so before like the 5 years forward, but I don't feel like they would have been kind of quite as deep and meaningful as this. And so I thought that that was a really nice way of showing us how close they now are, that she would come home and completely open up to him about how vulnerable she's feeling and how worried she is that maybe everything that's happened with A has changed who she is as a person. And it was cute because he was being supportive of her, but also in a kind of like slightly jokey way. So he was telling her, like, you know, you wear your heart on your sleeve, it just happens to be the sleeve of a flak jacket, and she had a little laugh at that. I've watched this scene about 6 times now, just FYI. So I thought that that was really nice, and I think everything about that I thought was really good, which I don't think many people, as I say, will agree with, because so many people seem to be against this, but I thought that scene was really hot, really well done. Love the chemistry between the actors, and it just, what can I say, Tyler Blackburn is an absolute babe. All I'm saying is that I bet that whoever you are out there, if you were sitting on a couch with Caleb Rivers and he started stroking your wrist like that, you wouldn't be able to resist him either. So yeah, very happy with that, the direction that storyline's taken. Very unhappy with the way that I think it'll end up, but for the moment I'm happy. And in other big news, we've discovered that Emily's medical condition is not that she is desperately ill, thank goodness, but that she is going to be donating her eggs for money. Now, I would like to at this point give a shout out to Lynn, my friend, who in the comments on my last video said that she thought that Emily, maybe with all this medical stuff, it was maybe going to turn out to be a surrogacy storyline, so that she was getting all these kind of things done because she was going to be a surrogate mum for someone. Lynn, I'm just going to give you a round of applause right now, Okay, it wasn't exactly a surrogacy storyline, but it was very close, so well done you for that excellent detective work. I think that is an interesting storyline, and I think that it's definitely something that most people wouldn't have been expecting. I did find the fact that she was like giving herself her injections in Arya's bathroom with the door open for Hannah to walk past and see was a little bit unlikely. But it did then provide that moment for her and Hannah to have that conversation, for her to open up about that. And these are just the kind of scenes that I really, really love, that really highlight what strong friendships these four girls have. I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with this, because it's just not quite what we expected it to be, and it's definitely something different, so I think that has potential to be really quite interesting. Again, with Emily, the fact that Pam opened her mail annoyed me. It had to happen because she had to find out that Emily had dropped out of school and everything at some point, but I just was like, your daughter's now in her 20s, like she's not 12, you do not get to open her mail. And the fact that she did that kind of annoyed me, but I guess it had to be done because Emily wasn't going to fess up anytime soon otherwise. So that scene, I really felt for Pam. I felt that it was kind of inappropriate for her to go and have this conversation out in the middle of the street through Emily's car window, but yeah, I really felt for Pam. I thought that was such a shame, and I liked that scene between them later on when she kind of sat down and was like, please don't ever let yourself go through something like that alone ever again, when you know you could go through it with me, I was grieving too. And I really like I like their relationship, and I feel really bad for Pam, the fact that she still doesn't know what's going on. Sarah Harvey. We have now discovered, thanks to Spencer confiding in Caleb, that what actually happened to her on that night, I said last week it was something to do with the bomb, because that's what I read somewhere, but that on the night that Charlotte, we found out that Charlotte was and Emily punched Sarah and she kind of fell to the ground, as she stood up she grabbed onto like a metal box which turned out to be attached to the electrics in the building, and she got like electrocuted, and that's what's wrong with her hands. So they got severely burnt through an electrocution, and that is probably also what she's blaming for the fact that she's got memory loss. I don't really know, because when she told that story, obviously we just saw it in flashback form. When Spencer told that story to Caleb and we saw the flashback, Caleb said you were given an impossible choice, like you can't blame yourself for this. What did he mean? Did he mean that she feels that she should have gone and tried to help Sarah and tried to pull her off the box? But if you touched her, as Emily quite rightly pointed out, she was like, don't touch her, because if you went and touched her, you'd get electrocuted too, I assume. So I don't really know. I guess that's what the impossible choice was, but yeah, I don't know. So that's apparently what's happened to her hands and why she's wearing gloves all the time. So she's still lurking about. I don't know what her goal is here, and that's, I think, Emily's point. She's like, why are you here? Like, there's no need for you to still be here. You could leave. You don't need to hang about Rosewood. So she's definitely still suspicious. Still no Mona, but we have found out in this episode that Mona is apparently working for the opposing camp to Veronica Hastings. So she's working for whoever Veronica's opponent is, but in a twist, she apparently approached Veronica first to ask if she could work for her, and Veronica said no. This was something that Spencer didn't know about, and unfortunately has found out about in quite a public way when a journalist has told her about it. So I'm hoping that means that Janelle Parrish is going to be in the next episode, because I miss her. She wasn't in this one. No Toby again, although I think Toby's in the next episode. No Alison in this episode, although we had Lorenzo lurking around quite a lot. In terms of the actual moving forward, I keep forgetting to mention like the main points of these episodes. I'm too focused on the intricate little other things, but in terms of moving forward with covering up what Hannah's done with the tape, Lucas is back. Now, this is something that came up in the BuzzFeed article, but it's also just something that I was thinking about myself, was that when did Lucas become just like good old guy Lucas that Hannah was BFFs with in season 1? When did we stop being suspicious of Lucas? Because he's back now, and he's apparently a millionaire, and he has houses all over the place. His newfound fame and success has been highlighted by the fact that he's now wearing sunglasses, and he and Hannah had a sort of nice little reunion moment. So of all the things to decide to do, Hannah decides to ask him to be their alibi for the night that Charlotte was killed. They go to the police, and he basically says that he went to visit Hannah that night. She called him and asked him to come round so they could catch up, whatever. And so he went round and took her some food or whatever, and they sat up talking till the sun came up. But they didn't plan this out in advance. They didn't have a conversation about, right, what are we going to say happened, because we need to make sure that things all add up and make sense. And then he just completely threw himself under a bus by saying, oh, I went out to get some ice from the ice machine. Lorenzo, very proud of himself, like, there is no ice machine on the 3rd floor of Radley. And it's just like, why? Like, you're digging yourself into a hole once again that you've learned nothing from the past. Absolutely nothing. Can I also just point out that the sun's going haywire. The weather outside today is horrific. So yeah, now Lucas has got himself embroiled in this once again. Hannah is now staying in his apartment, apparently, because she can't deal with staying at home with her mum when she's lying to her mum. He is now apparently going off on some business trip. He's been, you know, called away somewhere. So Hannah's going to use his apartment while he's away. But surely if he's just quite blatantly lied to the police would ask him not to leave town either. But the end of the episode was probably the highlight because it was old school, a final shot with the hands, with the gloves, with the black hoodie, all of the stuff from A's lair, the Alison masks, dolls, all of that stuff. I don't know where this person has got this from, if it's come from police evidence or where it's come from, but it definitely feels like old times A. And of course they've now got a text saying that someone knows that they know who did it and they're going to make them talk, and it's just back to crazy, bizarre, OTT, but completely 100% addictive viewing. So I can't wait for the next episode. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts on this episode were. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos from me, remember to hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye! Hannah's fiance seems nice. He has a very strange accent. He sounds Australian, but I don't know, is he?